Green Team Media.
I think with Apprentice now in the 12th season, it's really hard to believe. I mean, I think when the idea was first floated by Mark and I was in some of those meetings and hearing about it, I was like, really, I can't believe this. I mean, is it going to have the legs? And I probably never would have thought so, but I mean, it continues to keep revitalizing itself. I mean, it recreated itself with celebrity. I mean, people just love that. I mean, and it keeps doing that. Every season's different. The cast is so unique. I mean, this season, certainly no exception. I mean, perhaps the most diverse cast we've ever had. And it's that diversity, I think, those people coming from such different extremes and different backgrounds, that creates a lot of the fireworks that you're going to see in the boardroom, and it's just going to be exciting. I think no question, when someone's on their own show, they have a little bit more control. They're not dealing with 12 other alpha people or 18 other alpha people in this case when we're starting out, and they're used to getting what they want. I mean, in The Apprentice, you strip them away with their assistants. You take away that life support, that lifeline that they've been so used to and really gotten accustomed to, and now you're saying you're doing it on your own, you're figuring it out, and the tasks are arduous. And I think if there's one thing that people don't get is how hard these guys actually work, for the next few weeks, almost 2 months. It is grueling. They don't stop. They're going all the time. And when you get in the boardroom, it's kind of the precipice of all this stuff kind of happening, and the emotions fly, people let loose. The strong come to the top and they go after people, and the people that really don't have it and people that really shouldn't win, the weakness shows, and they're killed. I think the boardroom's the great equalizer. It's not necessarily even myself, my sister, my father. It's really the way they even interact amongst ourselves. I mean, half our job in the boardroom is to create the dialogue. My job is to get them talking amongst themselves. I love the boardroom because it's the one time in my life that I'm not on the receiving end of the diatribe, so it's nice to be there, and it's nice to, just be able to influence it and just kind of get it going. But I mean, the equalizer is how they interact with themselves and how they're going. Obviously my father's asking the tough questions, but it's their response to those questions and then their team calling them on it, because, we've seen a lot of BS thrown in the boardroom these days over past seasons. It's that really gets them going, and that's the equalizer. We have 18 cast members this year, which is, I guess, 2 or 3 more than we've ever had in the past. And I think, the success of last season and seasons past, I mean, people want to do the show, so we have some opportunities to get some great people, some people that are going to be awesome. And for me, again, it's never about one individual. It's never about one guy that I really want to be on the show because he's going to be. It's this guy and reacting with that one, and how those groups function. So I think having a big group is great. You get a couple extra shows out of it. It's a little bit more stress. It's a little bit more pressure. It's a little bit more time. And again, it's that time that kills them because they're working so hard. They're doing so much. Over time, it just wears them out. The walls fall down, and that's when you see a lot of the great television. I'm not sure, but I think the male versus female format, at least initially works. I think people want to see that. They want to see that competition. I think obviously, it tends to start out with the males getting along pretty well with each other, but that only lasts for so long. Females will be females. That usually doesn't last too long. They usually go after each other pretty quickly. I think it's a dynamic that works. Once you get down into, kind of the single-digit numbers on the teams, the low single digits, that changes and you kind of mix them up a little bit, and then it creates a whole different dynamic for the show where you have people that have never worked with each other, even though they've seen each other in the boardroom, they've never actually had to see what that person's like on the task. And I think it creates a good dynamic and change for the show throughout the season. Well, there is an element of fish out of the water. I mean, some people have their own shows, but again, they're used to being in charge on their own shows. Some people have, done stand-up comedy where they're able to make fun of someone, but there's no real retaliation. It's nice when you have a very big soapbox, but the boardroom, everyone's sort of on equal footing with one guy at the top, kind of being the puppet master and dictating how things are going. So when it's not in your terms, it changes things drastically, and I think that's where you see a lot of the great personalities come out. For me, I think it's a little bit more my personality because I tend to be a little bit of the comedic court jester when I can. I mean, obviously there's a time and a place for everything, but I enjoy that. I think, the comedians, they are smart. They are quick-witted. They are fast. And the comedians that we have and they're also pretty aggressive individuals. I don't know if you've seen Lisa lately, or Adam and the things that they created. So I think they have kind of the best of the artist's world, which is some of that creativity, but they also have, a tough business sense, a tough mindset to get by and kind of stand up in these things that they've done, whether it's their own shows and everything. It's a tough mindset. So I think they're going to be very formidable because they'll be able to go after people. They'll pick up those weaknesses and they'll pounce on them. And I think that plays very well in the boardroom, and it's a pretty powerful way to be able to influence my father. I know some of them for years. Some of them I've just met. So, sizing up the cast is interesting. What's nice is I'm not competing against them, so I don't have to size them up. I just have to kind of call them out when I see them doing something in the boardroom that doesn't necessarily align with what I saw them perform on the task. So, my job is to keep them honest. it's going to be interesting to see how they play out, how they deal with each other, and how they handle just the mental side of it, which is just the the 24/7 for weeks. You see guys that you'd think would be really strong contenders, and they just can't handle that aspect of it. So really, the mental game in this thing is everything. Hi, I'm Donald Trump Jr. We're back with an all-new Celebrity Apprentice. Take a look.